everybody. Good morning. My name is Marian Pavelka. I'm team leader of Department of Matter and Energy Fluxes. And the main scope of our department is, let's say, investigation of exchange of greenhouse gases. It's the matter fluxes, and energy between ecosystems and atmosphere. And we started to work with some green infrastructure in cities a few years ago. I mean our department, but it's true that CzechGlobe as an institution work on this issue for much longer time. This presentation is about some activities of me and my colleagues. A big part of this presentation was prepared by Pavel, but he has some other meeting and he's not able to be here. Okay, let's start with small introduction. Why we should interest in temperature, in heat island, in cooling effect of cities and etc. Here you can see the differences in annual temperature, annual average temperature in Czech Republic, and you can see that we reach more or less plus 2 degrees already in comparison with standard normal time period 61 to 90. And this trend is continuing. And you can see that the Prague and Brno are let's say, the most affected area. We call this effect urban heat island. I know everybody, I hope you know it. But what is the reason? It's a city geometry. It's too complex surface. It's totally different surfaces in the cities in comparison with wild nature or with surroundings. Reduction of intensity of water evaporation. It's very important part of this story. And last but not least, waste heat generated by human activity. Yesterday I tried to calculate something. If some person is sitting, it produces about 80 watts of waste heat energy. We are producing heat. If we are a little bit more active, let's say 1 watt, and if we have, like in Prague, 1 million citizens, it's 1 megawatts waste energy only from our bodies. But we have computers, we have cars, we have heating, cooling. Yeah? It's much more energy. And here you can see some trends in urban areas, suburban areas and rural areas. And you can see that the temperature are still increasing, and in the cities the increase, the trend is more steep, it's more stronger. Here is a number of tropical nights. It means nights with temperature above 20 degrees, and you can see a rapid increase of these nights during last few years, during last decade. And this is very important because it's decreasing quality of sleeping, it's decreasing our fitness, our healthy, and it's affecting even economy, because if we are not retired, our productivity decreases rapidly. Here you can see a little bit older data, but it's very interesting comparison during one sunny summer day, hot day. Temperature in Ruzyně, it's suburban or something like rural area, and Libuš, it's close to city center, let's say. And the temperature at 2 meters above surface was more than 37, and here it was nearly 40 in Libuš. But if we calculate sensible heat, or the proper term is perceived equivalent temperature, it's like how we feel the temperature. It's a little bit different from measurement by shaded meteorological temperature. It was close to 33, but here it was close to 38. And it's the effect of heat island. How it works, the heat island. If we compare open landscape, we have income of shortwave sun radiation, solar radiation. Part of it is reflected, part of it is absorbed, transformed to heat energy, and it's released as a long wave radiation, very easily. But in urban area, the surface is very structured, it's very complex, and there is a lot of radiation and absorption there and back, and it's the main reason why we have the heat island effect in our cities. What we can do, we can minimize income of the radiation, but how? We cannot shade all the cities, impossible. We can maximize reflection of the shortwave radiation. I think it's possible, but only partly. And we can support dissipation of heat from the cities. And it's possible to do it using green infrastructure. Shading, is it impossible, as I already said, to some performance here in Brno. Reflection, it's our house. I painted the roof for very clear white color, and temperature of the roof decreased very markedly. Yeah. It's difference more than 15, 20 degrees. It depends on which you compare it. But we can do it only in some limited way. If our cities are totally white, we will be blind if we don't use the sunglasses and what to do with our pets. I said we can support distribution or dissipation of the heat from cities using green infrastructure. And here we can start talk about transpiration, about role of the trees and other green infrastructure. We call it cooling function of plants. How it works? The plant, let's say tree, sucks water from the soil. The water goes through the trunk to the leaves, and from the leaves or needles it's evaporated to the air. Fine. We can measure it. I hope Dr. Jiří Kučera will explain this nice equipment. It's from EMS company Brno. And why the transpiration is so effective? Because water is absolutely miracle liquid, and it consumes a lot of energy for evaporation, for change of the status from liquid to gas. And 1 liter represents 3.5 megajoule of energy. If we recalculate it, it's 0.68 kilowatt hours. What does it mean? It's, for example, about 11 hours of working standard old bulb, 60 watts. It's 2 days of refrigerator running, or it's energy which is in one small table, one portion of chocolate, 100 grams. Okay, it's really a lot of energy. And for the evaporation, it sucks the energy from the surroundings. It means evaporating of water can cool the surroundings. Okay. Another effect, and I can say much more important, is shading of the trees. It can protect the persons, the people, but it can minimize overheating of the surfaces. It's very important. If you are walking on a pathway which is during sunny day about 50 degrees hot, it's like walking on heating system. And its effect combination of the incoming solar radiation plus radiation, long wave radiation from the pathway. It's horrible for the citizens. Shading is absolutely crucial, shading of trees. It can decrease a little bit air temperature because of evaporation, transpiration, sorry, evaporation of the water from the leaves, transpiration. But this effect is not so important in comparison with shading effect. What is very, very interesting, important is decreasing of the sensible, not sensible, the proper term is perceived equivalent temperature. What does it mean? It's, you can imagine temperature in a room, in a office. You are sitting, and if you measure temperature in the air, it's how you feel in this prostředí, in these conditions. And if you are somewhere outside, you are affected by direct radiation, long wave radiation, by air temperature. And if you calculate it together, you feel it just very, very differently from the air temperature measured in some shading metallurgical box. And we call it perceived equivalent temperature. It means that you are sitting in a room with certain temperature. Shading. We can talk about quality of the shade. If we are sitting under slunečník umbrella, it's heated by the sun, and temperature of this cloth is about 50 degrees. It's like sitting under a heating system. If you are sitting under a tree, it's totally different story, because the shade is cool. Why? Because the tree transpirates water, but I think the more important is multi-layer of the leaves. It's designed like James Webb Space Telescope. It was released 2 years ago, if I remember correctly, and it's very sensitive for long wave radiation. And it's shaded from the sun using, I guess, five thin foil. And each foil absorbs some radiation and releases, dissipate it to other directions. And and it's perfectly, the sensor is perfectly protected from the radiation, and the tree has much more layers. Yeah. This chestnut has, I don't know, 20 maybe more layers, and it's releasing water, evaporating water. It means that the shade is extremely cool. It's important function of the trees in urban area. Here you can see surface temperature of sunny leaves and shaded leaves. And you can see that air temperature, you cannot see the scale. You have to trust me. The hottest leaves, like this leaves, is about 35-37 degrees, and shaded is about 25. Here you can see from the down view, and it's the same values, about 35 up 37 the sunny leaves, but the shaded leaves is about only 24 degrees. It's effect not of the transpiration, it's effect of multi-layer, or how to say it, shading structure of the tree trunk. And the final effect is very strong. Yeah? Here in sunny part of the pathway, the temperature is more than 50. It's 56 partly. And here in the shade is only 24 and something. Okay, in cities we can find very hot areas during sunny days. Why? Because here is no tree, no green infrastructure, and it's overheated. Yeah. Temperature of this, here it's visible, perfect. Temperature of the hottest part is more than 50. If you touch it, it's impossible to hold your palm on it longer time. Here is portion of latent heat. It means the dissipation of the energy by water vapor in incoming global radiation. And if we are talking about one tree, it's on its surface, it's about 25% is dissipated via transpiration, via water vapor. And in the Brno city, how much trees, how much green plants we have? Maybe 10%. It means that we are able to release only 2.5% of incoming energy by transpiration. It means we need to put more trees into our streets, if it's possible, because it's a big problem. Probably you know it. Everywhere on the pathways are some infrastructure, hose pipes, cables, channels, etc. Well, how much the trees are cooling our environment. Děkuju. Here is again Brno. It's the biggest Brno's park, Lužánky, and surrounding streets. Let's focus on this part, Lužánky and Odlážska. Kotlářská and Pionýrská street. For this measurement we use special equipment, and my colleague Dan Kopkáně, he constructed a system of infrasensors, let's say, which measure surrounding surface temperatures and ventilated air temperature measurement. Jirko, sorry, it's not professional equipment, but it works. He visited this park during sunny day 3 years ago, and he went through this way, and you can see that in the park the temperature measured by meteorological rate, means in shaded thermometer, temperature in park was about 30, and in the street it was 31. It means that effect of the park on air temperature is really negligible. From this measurement we can say that we can cut all the trees. We don't need trees in cities because its cooling effect is minimal. Okay, but its temperature measured in the shaded thermometer. If we recalculate it to the perceived equivalent temperature, it's difference 5 degrees. And I think it's meaningful. If the temperature is 35 or 40, it's big difference for us. And from this perspective, it's very meaningful to have trees in cities. I'm happy. But the green infrastructure, the trees, has much more functions. It's I already said regulation of temperature and microclimate. It's some carbon sequestration, but very honestly, in comparison with forest, it's minimal. But it's possible to count it, calculate it, and recalculate it to the money. Filtration function, filtration of the air, it's very important. It's cleaning air from small particles, from dust, and from ozone, NOx, and sulfur dioxide. Decreasing noise. You know, cities are very noisy. Cars, industry, people, cooling or heating systems, and etc. It's producing noise, and green infrastructure can absorb it very effectively. And of course, it's nice. The green infrastructure for us, it's like how to say it, recreation and aesthetic. Okay. In cooperation with Save Trees, a few years ago, we prepared new methods how to calculate. Yeah, it's here. How to calculate ecosystem benefits of ecosystem services of green infrastructure, mainly trees. You can download it from our website, or it's here, printed. And let me briefly talk about one not well-known effect of trees in streets with heavy traffic. It's streets like Rova in Prague. It's more or less without green infrastructure. There are just green grass belts sometimes, and there are only pathways and cars. Here you can see view from Seznam website. How does it look? Okay, it's a model, it's work of Pavel Zahradníček, my colleague, and they modeled behavior of the temperature and concentration of NOx. It's gas from the traffic, from the cars. There is prevailing west direction of the wind, and it does big eddy in the street canyon, and concentration of the NOx in east part of the Lagerova street is very low. In the west side of the street is much higher. It's because of this turbulence. Okay. And here is temperature during one day. And they model what's happened if we put small trees into the street, on the pathways. Therefore, for shading of the pedestrians. The concentration will increase little bit. Okay, plus 6%, plus 14, and perceived equivalent temperature is little bit lower, for more than 2 degrees. It's positive, but it's small trees with very small shading. If they put sparsely the same trees, concentration is surprisingly a little bit higher, even higher, because effect for barrier for the wind is more bigger. And what happens if they put big trees in this Lagerova street? Concentration in east side of the Lagerova street increases rapidly. Why? Because we stop ventilation of the street. And it's question, what is more profitable, what is more important for people in cities to be shaded against direct sun radiation, or to have a little bit better air condition. I'm showing this to start thinking about trees in cities, that it has a lot of pros, a lot of advantages, but sometimes some disadvantage can appear, and this problem is very complex, and it's necessary to think deeply about it. Okay, it's only small selection of our activities in cities. In past, we prepared some strategies for cities. I cannot remember the name of the project. It was mainly for Prague. We producing heat maps for cities using remote sensing. We have our own aircraft. We are able to distinguish what is on the surface. We are able to automatically find trees, grasses, buildings, pathways, and etc. If you interested in more, please don't hesitate to contact me or my colleagues. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.